Namo Sakaya Muni Muna. I would like to introduce you. Bhante Dhamananda is the teachers in this series of lectures in Dhamma. He is originally from Sri Lanka and currently residing in New Jersey Buddhist Vihara, Princeton. He holds the degree of Panicha Pandit and Master of Arts. And he has been a teacher Sanskrit and Bali. We would like to invite him to join us and teaching our Dhamma, spreading all over the world with our students and our friends and Dhamma brother and sister. Today, I would like to welcome Bhante Dhamananda to be back to teaching for us today to continue us. First of all, we wish you a very healthy, happy, and stay very, very peaceful. Thank you very much, Bhante Dhamananda. Welcome you today.
Thank you. Okay, let's begin and continue our class. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the fully enlightened one. Homage to the teacher who guides us for the enlightenment. Thank you and welcome everybody for our Buddhism class. And today we are continuing with the story of the Buddha or the Buddha's life story. We stopped in our last lesson at his enlightenment, where he was enlightened, and he wanted to continue enjoying the bliss of emancipation, the bliss of Nibbana. So he spent 49 days, 7 weeks, under and the vicinity of the Bodhi tree. During these 7 weeks, 49 days, mainly he spent silently enjoying that liberation, the joy and bliss of liberation. And it also came to his mind that this teaching, this novel method, absolutely new method for liberation, is not something that this world is ready to accept. Because this liberation is to be achieved via the middle path. This is something unknown to the world at that time, and they were not ready to accept it. So he thought, whether my struggles to help the world for liberation would be just tiring and unnecessary trouble. He was not sure whether the world is ready for him. Then it says, the Brahma Sampati appeared in front of him. Putting palms together, he invited the Buddha that the world is ready for you. The people are there who are willing to tread on the path that you show. Please go on to those places and give your teaching, give your Dhamma to them. Show them the technique, the method of liberation. Based on this invitation, Gautama the Buddha decided that he will initiate his teaching or his sharing of the Dhamma with the world. Then he thought, to whom should I teach first? Those first students, whosoever they are, they must be known to him. Then they will at least ready to accept what he teaches. So he thought of the people who already knew. And he thought of his former teachers, Alarakalama, Uddakaramaputta, those teachers who were teaching him the meditation technique. Then he found those teachers have already deceased, passed away, and are being reborn. They were reborn in Brahma realms out of his reach. And then he thought of his assistants during his extreme penances, during his Satta Kilamatana Yoga. Those ascetics, the 5 ascetics, Kundanya, Vappa, Badhya, Mahanama, Astaji, those supporters of the Bodhisattva. Buddha thought about them. They must be my first audience. They must be my first listeners. Then he understood that they are living in Varanasi, Benares, quite far away from the Buddha Gaya. So after these 49 days of silence, Buddha decided to leave Buddha Gaya to Varanasi or Varanasi to teach his first group of disciples. He walked all the way from Bodh Gaya to Varanasi, and he met this group of 5 ascetics on the full moon day in the month of July. They were living in the place called Migadaya, where the deer were given freedom to roam around freely. Migadaya, Benares. And once they met the Buddha, these 5 ascetics, they did not accept, they were not ready to accept that he is enlightened. When they saw the Buddha, the notions that came into their minds were that this Buddha or this former meditator, former practitioner of Apta Kilometer Yoga has come back from his practice and has become luxurious. He has become luxurious. He is no more worthy of our respect, of our veneration, because he is no more into the spirituality. He is not someone who is to be respected, venerated. So they decided not to respect the Buddha because he has gone to the luxurious life, has forsaken the spiritual life. But of course, they could not keep their resolutions not to respect the Buddha. They accepted him, they welcomed him, they provided him the requirements, the necessities. But they addressed the Buddha as a friend, avuso, a friend. Buddha said, you cannot address me as a friend. I am enlightened. You have to address me as Bhagavan, O Tathagata, I am a Buddha now. Then they were puzzled and complained, how can you become enlightened? You gave up the real practice. You gave up the path to enlightenment. How can you be enlightened? But I said, no, it was not the path. I found the path and I walked on it and I got enlightened. I came all the way here to show you, to tell you about that path. So they were not ready to accept him. So for a few times, Buddha was repeating again and again, I am enlightened, I came here to teach you, to help you, to be enlightened just like me. But they were not ready. Then Buddha asked a singular question. One question he asked this group. He said, have you ever heard that I am lying? I am a liar. Have I ever lied to you before? You know me. You have known to me. I am known to you for many years now. You have been with me for many years. Have I ever lied to you? And they accepted. Bodhisattva was always truthful. He never tried to deceive us. Even when we were leaving him, he never lied to us. To keep us with him. Then the Buddha said, if I haven't lied before, I'm not lying now. I'm telling you the absolute truth. I'm telling you the truth as it is. I am enlightened. I am here to show you the path for that enlightenment. So they may not have believed that the Buddha is enlightened, but they believed, they accepted his truthfulness. So they were ready to teach, ready to listen to his teachings. And on that full moon day, to this group of 5 monks, Buddha taught his first Dhamma. It is called Dhamma Chakra Pavattana Sutta. In this sutta, he introduced the Noble Truths, 4 Noble Truths. And especially he introduced the middle path, which consists of 8. So the 8-fold Noble Path. This sutta was called Dhammacakka Pavattana because it is where he began to rotate the wheel of Dhamma. The wheel of Dhamma started rotating with this sutta. The initiate moment of turning the wheel of Dhamma was there in Benares, at Isipatana. Hence this sutta was called Dhamma Chakka Pavattana Sutta. By the end of the teaching, the eldest among this group of 5 monks, 5 ascetics, Kundanya, he was awakened. He was able to open his eyes to the Dhamma. We call it Dhamma Chakku Mudapadi. His eye of the Dhamma, or the Dhamma eye, was opened. It means he got into the first stage of pre-entry, Sotapan. It was the beginning of the rainy season, so Buddha continued to stay there in Benares, Isipatana. And during that stay, he was continuously teaching, guiding the rest of the 5 ascetics. And one by one, They attained to Sotapanna, elementary, and finally he taught a sutta called Anantalakkana Sutta. Anantalakkana Sutta, where he expressed about the Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta, the four characteristics: impermanence, suffering, non-self. These characteristics, they call characteristics, was expressed, and these five ascetics got enlightened. And during that stay, there was another ordination of a famous and rich young man called Yasa. He was a millionaire's son, lived a life of a prince. He was like a prince, and he was living exactly like the Buddha while he was a prince. And this Yasa was also fed up and tired with the household life. He came to the Buddha and asked him to be ordained. He requested the ordination. He requested this going forth. Buddha ordained him. And when his friends, there were 54 friends of Yasa, when his friends, these 54 friends, when they heard the ordination of their famous friend Yasa, they also came to the monastery. They also requested the ordination, and Buddha ordained them. And they too got ordained. And by the end of the Vasa, by the end of the rains retreat, they were all enlightened. They were all arahants. So including Buddha, the five ascetics, the Yasa, and the 54 friends. There were 61 enlightened beings in this world, including the Buddha. And the Buddha asked them, now you have done your journey. Now you have concluded your spiritual training. It is time for you to share this bliss, joy, happiness of liberation with the world. Start victory. So travel. Just travel. But don't travel together. Travel alone. So that this world quickly and easily, as fast as possible, get to know that there is the Buddha in the world. So those people who have the affinity for the enlightenment, they would come looking for this supreme enlightened Buddha, taking the guidance for their liberation. So as an easy, quick, fast method of broadcasting, publishing about this enlightened being, this rare opportunity for the world, Buddha said, travel into 60 directions, and it so happened. Before long, the India started becoming knowledgeable, becoming aware of this enlightened being, that rare being has arisen in the world, and those people who had the opportunity, who had the affinity for enlightenment, start coming, looking for the Buddha. 45 years spent. Other than the rainy season, he was always on the way. He was always traveling for hundreds of miles. Buddha traveled looking for individuals, giving the opportunity for the people to approach him. He was available for all and sundry. Anybody could reach him. Nobody was shunned from approaching the Buddha. Anybody could reach him. The caste, the difference of the caste, difference of anything, worldly difference was irrelevant. Anybody who were willing to approach, listen, and practice, they could approach the Buddha. Men, women, low caste, high caste, powerful, powerless, rich, poor. None of these worldly differences mattered to the Buddha. What matters was whether you are ready to accept his guidelines and put your wholehearted effort on it. Thousands of people got enlightened, liberated from the worldly misery, thanks to the Buddha. 45 years of selfless service for the liberation of the world. It was such a noble commitment that we can never compare with any kind of social work with the world in the world. After 45 years, at the age of 80, it was seen that the Buddha is in Kusinara. At that time, it was a city which is far away from the main and famous cities. Kusinara was just known in the history of the world because of the Buddha's passing away there. He was there to shed his last breath, lying between two tamala trees. Now, tamala trees are so significant in the Buddha's life because he began his life, his genesis, his birth occurred under a sala tree, and his last breath was shed under a sala tree, lying between two sala trees in the pleasure park called Upavattana, lying in the posture of the sleeping lion. He shed his last breath. The last sutta he taught was Mahasudassana Sutta, inspired the people to be more virtuous. And before his last breath, he made sure many other requirements that this order of the Buddha to last longer and longer. He asked even questions. If you have any doubt, this is your time to ask me. He was so weak, he compared his body to a worn-out cart dragging slowly with much difficulty. He was so weak with sicknesses because the last food he took was Sukaramadava, and he didn't agree with him. He was suffering with a dysentery. He was so weak. We can imagine a human being at the age of 80 with that kind of weakness, still he was aware, he was mindful of his duties. What does this order require from me? He asked the monks, do you have any doubts about the Dhamma or the teacher or anything? This is your time to ask. Don't regret later. Now ask if you have any doubt. If you feel that you are disturbing me, you are troubling me unnecessarily, you tell your friend to ask your question on behalf of you. Such a commitment for his disciples and for the long-lasting existence of this order. His last disciple was Subhadra. And this Subhadra came to him just before the Buddha's passing. All the people who talked to him were discouraging him. Don't go there. Now Buddha is so weak and tired. Don't disturb him anymore. But the Buddha said, let him come. He's not coming to trouble me, disturb me. Let him come. Let him solve his problem with me. So Buddha came and asked the Buddha's question, and Buddha said, you are asking the wrong question. What you really want to know is this. Let me tell you what you really want to know. And he taught Dhamma. Subhadra was liberated. And this Subhadra was the last disciple, just as Kondanya was his first disciple. Subhadra was the last disciple. After that, Buddha just uttered his final word. Vaya Dhamma Sankhara Apamadena Sampadena. Transient are all conditioned things. Try on diligence. Just like he encouraging his disciples at every time he got the opportunity, Buddha was telling his disciples, this body is going to die sooner or later. Do it today. Be diligent today. Be mindful today. And he passed it. He shed his breath in meditation. In the special park called Upavatana, belonged to the King Malla, between two sala trees. His origin was in the nature. His passing away was in the nature. He was a prince who lived a life of a simple monk. These are the major life events of the Buddha. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bhante. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. I wish you is very healthy, happy, and see you next chapter. Thank you.